for composting, right? Like there's going to be people who have these like strict rules of what you should do. I was a certified master composter through UC Davis, and they were like, don't tell people to compost bones, meat, fats, all of that stuff. I'm a rogue composter. I don't listen to the rules. Anybody going to tell me some rules? I'm not listening. So like the issue with those items is that they attract pests. And I'm not really worried about that. Like rats freaking are turning the pile for me, man. Get in there. Um, like anything that you have on hand, think about this. Like we have come so dependent on systems. We don't know where our food comes from. We don't know where our trash goes. If you have the opportunity to tour a waste reclamation facility and look at where all of your trash goes, it's absolutely disgusting to think that is what we're doing to the earth. And so like composting is the first step of taking initiative into like your own accountability of how you interact with the planet. So like I have cut back on so many items after going and seeing like how much Amazon packaging, laundry detergent bottles, dishwasher detergent bottles, like all of that doesn't break down, doesn't get recycled. It's just thrown into the ground and buried. And what happens is we get toxic leachate, we get methane gas emissions, we have these points of pollution. And it's like, we only got one opportunity on this earth, so let's take it and do something good. 40% of that landfill, of the items in the landfill, could be composted at home, reducing a ton of that pollution. So like start small, either a worm bin or literally a static pile. I'm busy. I'm so busy. I used to be like, okay, I got 3 bin pile. I've got my greens over here, my browns over here. I'm mixing it 6 inches on 3 feet by 3 feet, 6 inches of green, 6 inches of brown, and then covering it with finished compost after it's reached 3 feet tall. Now I got a 4-year-old. I've got 16 chickens. I've got 12 acres. I throw it all in a pile in the garden. I don't give a shit. It's just sitting there. And it's going to break down eventually. Like it may not be ready in 4 to 6 weeks. It might take a year, but I'm doing my part to reduce waste, lower my carbon footprint. And like eventually it's going to turn into black gold that I can incorporate back into my garden. So don't feel like you need to do things a certain way. Like there is, I think we talked a little bit about the Johnson Sioux bioreactor previously, Chris. And
Yes.
this is like a super great way for you to kind of combine a couple different composting methods, which is like thermophilic, which relies on bacterial energy to decompose it. So it raises the temperature to like 175 degrees because of how much those bacteria are like fighting, killing each other, doing all this shit. It's creating heat, and that is going to help accelerate the decomposition of the organic matter. And so that's where you see like, you need to turn it, you got to water it, you got to do all these things. But a Johnson Sioux bioreactor sounds much more fancy than it is. And it's like, just put a panel around a pallet on top, stick a tube in the center, fill it up, water it, and let it sit for a year. There you go.
Simple.
Yeah. And then it's going to be fungally dominant, which I'd love to get your guys' opinion on this. Like a lot of like marketed soil blends are touted as being fungally dominant. And when you think about soil ecosystems, ones that are bacterially dominant are ones that have gone through what's the word I'm looking for? Like disturbances, right? So bacteria are primary species. They're the first ones to come in after a disturbance in an ecosystem. So if you have like an earthquake, a fire, you're building a road, you're going to see a bacterial dominance in that soil. Well, fungal dominant soil is like aged ecosystem, like trees, right, are associated with the fungal dominant ecosystem. So is a plant that is only there for one season. So you would think like, a bacterial dominance, like a grassland would be, that's what it would prefer. But you see like fungally dominant marketed towards, and it's like, I wonder, is that just marketing? Do we have scientific data? Like I've looked and some people say like a 1-to-1 ratio, bacteria to fungi. what is it though? And like, what are your guys' thoughts on that?
I think a lot of it is marketing. I think majority of it is the fact that people will say includes microbes, and it's like electrolytes. That's plants' electrolytes. It's got what plants need. And so if they say that's in it without saying the species or saying specifically how much is in something, I think it's just filler words. But there's some brands that incorporate this in because they do feel it's a secret sauce that they're overlooking. They're using the bottled nutrients, a trio series. They're not adding anything beneficial at all. It's just a bunch of chemicals. So I think it's like they're giving you a little something, but again, it's like screaming you have electrolytes in Prime. It's like what, from a million bananas? Like we don't like, I don't know. It just depends on what your focus is and what your growing style is. And some people, when they're grabbing this as a base and then adding more, like a compost to it, or they're adding their own blend, I think that'd be different. But if you're just putting bottled nutrients in, I don't know if it's going to make a difference. I see people honestly getting the same, if not better results with a sterile media, with completely inert, with nothing at all in it. So it's like, what's the point unless you're blending a mix, unless you're doing an organic soil? I think it's just marketing.
Yeah, I mean, I would argue that there are specific species of bacteria like Bacillus subtilis, for instance, that improves the plant's immune system regardless of the feeding type. So we're not relying on the enzymes to break down the organic nutrients. We're just seeing an association with the plant for boosting the immune system. And like that is like, every ecosystem has a keystone species, which is one species that is like a beaver or a wolf or something that affects the rest of the ecosystem. And that particular bacteria is one of them for plants as well as us. So we find it in our gut, and it also helps promote our immune system. And so like, I think that for so long we were taught like bacteria is like germs, and it's like not, we live in this like void since the 50s, right? We got like microwave food, canned things, you C-sections, no breastfeeding. Like these are all points of contact where bacteria are inoculating us the same way. I mean, we stem from bacteria was like the first life on earth, right? So like saying that even if you can't see a discernible difference, maybe in yield, maybe that is, it's definitely having something of boosting the immune system of your plant.
This FTS clip was brought to you by AC Infinity, leaders in garden innovation. Use discount code TheStash15 at checkout to save some money on your order.
From the Stash Podcast.